Hello and welcome back to VR Club. In today's lesson, we'll be going over a problem-solving framework. This will be a general framework and approach to help you problem solve. In our framework, there are 5 steps. The first one is to break the problem into smaller problems. The second is to isolate the problem. The third one is to debug. The fourth is to understand what you did and why it works or doesn't work. The fifth step is to keep adding 1, and then we'll just repeat from the start. Now let's say, for example, I want to make my character move in the virtual environment. So let's go ahead and break this problem down into smaller problems. Let's take move, for example. There are many different ways to move, and I want to be very specific in what type of behavior I actually want. Now also, we want to define what a character is. Do I want to see from the first person view? From the third person view? What type of character do I want to control? Being specific here will really help you. The next step we want to take is to isolate the problem. It's hard to try and do everything all at once. So the first step that we want to do is just see how we can move a character left and right. Let's pretend that I've coded it up. The next thing that we need to do is to test that behavior. We want to understand what we did. We want to understand what our intended behavior is. What are my inputs? What are my outputs? And how do I get from point A to point B? Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you a very neat thing called debug.log. This allows you to help debug your code. So I've created just a sample scene that's completely empty called debug scene. And I've also made a simple debug code as well. This is completely new, and I'm just going to open it up. I can cancel out of here. So there's a very neat function within Unity called debug.log. And this essentially allows you to print messages so that you can see what's going on. So I'm just going to have a hello world example here inside a string, and I'm going to save it. I'm just going to create an empty game object within the actual scene. I'm just going to call it empty object. I'm going to attach my code here, and then I'm going to press play. And you might say, Frank, nothing happened. Well, actually, there's a thing called the console, and this allows you to see the messages that you have printed. You can see that the messages here, either you can see the messages, see the warnings, or see the errors. Currently I have no errors, so right now all of them are selected. I can collapse all of them if I want to see repeating messages, but don't have them keep printing. Alternatively, I can clear my messages, so every time I start over, I can have an empty slate to see the messages that I've made. So what debug.log does is it prints the hello world. Since I've put it in the start function, it will only print 1 time. And I'll just show you here once more. And this is in the console on the bottom left. And we see that there is a hello world that got printed. Now what happens if I put this inside the update function? We'll go ahead and clear it. And now let's see what happens. So now we see that hello world is printing again and again at every update, and we see that this number keeps increasing. And if we collapse it, we can see that this number keeps going up because it's just continuously printing hello world. And what's happening is that the hello world is printing every update, so every frame we see a hello world. We can use this debug.log function to check out our functions or see if things are working the way they are supposed to. So let's say I have 2 cubes, and when they touch, they're supposed to change color. I can add a debug log that has color changed just to make sure that I see something and the intended behavior that I wanted is happening. So what we can also do is, let's say I have many different debug logs. I have different messages I want to print. We'll say hello world and hello Frank at every update. Now it's a little bit hard to keep track of which one I want if there's so many printing, but what I can do is I can actually search and filter to only get my hello worlds that are printing, and see we only have the hello Franks here based off of this search bar. Cool, so this is just a really brief rundown of what debug.log does. I hope that you can use this within your projects to help you debug. Once I've coded up my behavior of moving left and right, I want to understand, what did I do? If it worked, why did it work? If it didn't work, why didn't it work? And if it didn't work, let's go into trying to understand how we can get it to work. Have you searched on Google? Have you asked ChatGPT? Have you asked your friends? Try to build the understanding so that you can go from not working to working. Then we want to keep adding 1. Once I've gotten my left and right behavior to work, next go and try forwards and backwards. Then we add the jump. Last, we'll add the mouse controls to look where I move the mouse. Then we'll go straight back to the beginning, back to step 1. Hopefully this problem-solving framework will help you in your Unity coding.